All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Seeing the Whole Field. I see the typo in the title up at top. The history of spring training, part 3, is what we're going to do right now. Now, in part 1 of the series, we did a small introduction and told you how cities like New Orleans, Louisiana, and Hot Springs, Arkansas, were instrumental in the beginnings of spring training. Then, in the second episode, we gave you two very unique and telling stories that shaped the early and mid time frames of spring training. One on St. Patrick's Day, and the other how a gas station slash hotel slash taxidermy collection kind of thing paved the way for the Cactus League. And if you've missed either one of those two episodes, please look up Seeing the Whole Field right here on YouTube, and you'll be able to do that really easily. But today, we wrap up the history so that we can, I guess I'll tell you in a minute. But first of all, let's kick that music in, shall we? And then maybe, I don't know, a background? Oh, there we go. All right, guys and gals, I'm so excited to keep doing this series with you, The History of Spring Training. This is the third and final one. Some of you may be looking at us live right now, or you may be going, wait a minute, this wasn't supposed to be out till tomorrow. Well, I changed my work schedule a little bit. I have to work extra tomorrow. I knew I wouldn't be able to do all of it. So I went ahead and I'm going to do it right now, tonight, and it'll be available for you tomorrow. Some of you, it probably is tomorrow, and you're just like, oh, there it is. Yes, there it is. All right, guys, here we go. Of course, before we do a whole lot more, I want to make sure that we welcome you to the show. Hey there, thank you very much for tuning in. We certainly appreciate it. And then, of course, you all know what to do. Like, subscribe, hit that bell for notifications so you never miss a video. You know, in case I decide to do one the night before. Okay, guys. Hey, thank you very much for joining us. We really, really appreciate you being here. Thank you very much for everything that you're doing as far as keeping us going here on All Gloves Off Sports Media, whether you're with us on X, All Gloves Off SM, whether you're with us on Twitch, whether you're with my personal Facebook account, or whether, of course, you're with us on YouTube. It is All Gloves Off Sports Media. Thank you for joining us. And ladies and gentlemen, here we go. Currently, Florida and Arizona each hold 15 teams in their respective states. But that was not always the case, especially in the early and mid 1900s. You see, teams didn't build facilities exclusive for spring training like they do today. Even though the spring training facilities of today are far from only used for spring training, but we'll get into that next week. My point is, since teams do not build special facilities, they would use local facilities in other cities and would sometimes even change spring training sites almost yearly. Just for an example, the Cleveland Indians between 1902 and 1922 held their spring training in 7 different cities. 3 of them being New Orleans, they were in Dallas, and they were even in Macon, Georgia. The then New York Giants, before they were the Mets, built what most people would consider the first, we'll call it permanent, spring training facility in Texas called Emerson Park in a city called Marlin, Texas. Then World War II came, and because of it, most clubs held an abbreviated spring training that was within kind of easy access to their major league city. In fact, 1943's spring training had a geographical limit on it. Remembering now, most of the travel was by rail. It was limited to an area east of the Mississippi and north of the Ohio River. the Washington Senators. Man, I think that's so much more of an appropriate name than the Nationals, but I digress. So the Washington Senators played in College Park, Maryland. The Yankees, as an example, in that 1943 year, played in Ashbury Park, New Jersey, and the Chicago White Sox in a town in Indiana called French Lick. Bunch of freaky Indiana people. Anyway, speaking of awkward places to play baseball, after the war, some teams actually decided to play in international cities. For example, in 1947 and again in 49, the then Brooklyn Dodgers trained in Havana, Cuba. The year between, remember it was 47 and 49, and the year between, you guys are smart, you can do simple math. The year between, they trained in the Dominican Republic. Now, the Yankees followed suit in the early 1950s by also training in Cuba and the Dominican Republic. I'm not going to go through and go over all the teams and all the different cities that were off of U.S. soil where they trained, but I'll say this. There were camps held in Mexico, in Puerto Rico, and even in Hawaii. You also had some teams that were exploring the western half of the United States at the same time. In 1919, a man by the name of William Wrigley Jr., who was made famous by Wrigley chewing gum, Google it, young people, invested heavily and owned most of Catalina Island. In 1929, he built this huge casino on the island, and then he moved the Chicago Cubs to the island for spring training, a team in which he owned from 1921 to 1951. Before the Angels were confusingly known as the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, right? They were simply the California Angels. And they held their spring training facilities in Palm Springs, California, from 1961 to 1993. Two more teams were given the West a shot all at the same time. The Padres went to Yuma, Arizona, from 1969 to 1993, and the A's were literally trying their luck in Las Vegas through the majority of the 1970s. That's kind of our wrap-up of the history of spring training. Next week, we're going to focus on spring training of today, how it's changed, what you can expect, and we're really going to put a focus on the Cactus League since I live in Arizona. Not that I'm bragging, but it's beautiful out here. Since I live in Arizona and I absolutely love spring training, I'll get you all caught up. We'll talk a lot next week about what you can expect, whether you're an adult, a kid, or just a big kid. I can't wait to bring you up to speed like, 100 mile per hour fastball speed. But then again, before we conclude everything, make sure you're with me and my buddy Cheese as we do the Lights Out Sports Podcast every Tuesday night, 6 Mountain, 7 Pacific, 8 Central Time. And of course, all the other great shows right here on All Gloves Off Sport Network, like the Red Hot Reds and Sir Hans Sports Era. Make sure you check us all out. Seeing the Whole Field, the Lights Out Sports Podcast, and everything else. And while you're doing so, tell your friends, comment below, and then do me one more thing. Don't be afraid to sling it, swish it, or swing it. Because what happens is you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. All right, everybody. Certainly appreciate it. Thank you very much for being with us. And until next week, when we talk about the modern day spring training, thank you for everything. And I hope this helps you see the whole field.